everybody, Mary here. If you're seeing this video, it's probably posted at a regular time, but I'm not able to do this live due to the holidays. So, happy holidays to you. Go ahead and grab your equipment. If you want to use a sturdy chair for some of these stretches, feel free to grab a sturdy chair. But outside of that, get your trigger ball, get your foam roller, find a strap, a tie, a scarf, anything that will help you reach your foot if you are not quite able to get there. Even if you can, sometimes it helps with just relax if you have something holding on to your leg. And then if you have a blanket or something that you can rest your body on when we do some of these stretches, you might enjoy that too. So let's go ahead and start first with some breathing. If you're in the chair, go ahead and sit in the chair, or you can sit on the floor. Just rest your hands on your legs, sit nice and tall. Get the back of the neck nice and long, and take an inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth, let it go. And you might need to do that a couple times. Sometimes we have events come up that are just very exciting and fun for us to do, but they cause a little bit of stir and a whirl in the mind, and then the mind cannot relax, because we're so excited and anxious for the event to happen. So when that occurs, try to slow your breath down. Take a moment, maybe just 1 minute. All that takes is 1 minute to reset your body. Deep breath in the nose. Exhale through your nose. And with every breath, you try to bring it a little bit deeper into the lungs. So if you're only able to breathe into your chest, that's fine. We're going to try to work that breath a little bit deeper. And you can do that by placing your hand on your belly and see if you can just visualize the breath coming in the nose, down the throat, past your heart center, down into your belly. Let your belly press against your hand. And as you exhale, squeeze the breath out of the belly first, and then feel the breath come up through the heart center, past your throat, out through the nose. And then as you do so, begin to think about those things that put the smile on your face, that let you feel peaceful inside, that help you relax. And just let yourself restore so you can repair the body. Come back to a more healthy state of mind, healthy state of the body. Notice the breath if you're able to get it a little bit deeper. And then slowly open the eyes. So if your eyes feel tired, if you rub your hands together vigorously to warm them up, and then close your eyes and place the palms of the hand on top of the eyes, and just let your fingers wrap around the top of the head. That heat that you generate usually feels pretty good into the eyes. You can roll your eyes one direction or the other if that helps. You can kind of squint your eyes a little bit maybe. And take another breath. And relax. And then if you wish to give a little bit of massage to your head, just place the palms of your hands on the sides of the temples, small circles working around to the back side of the head, maybe coming back towards the front, coming over to where the jaw is, maybe to the cheeks if you want to come to the front, maybe switch to the fingertips, working through the cheekbone, working down through the jawline, to the front of the jaw, and then back out to the ears. You can actually kind of give a gentle squeeze to the ears with your fingers. Gently squeeze all the way around from the lobes, all the way up to the top of the ears. Just that little pinch makes all that blood kind of work around, the awareness coming back to that part of the body. And you can work the fingers like little clamps here across the eyebrows. So you kind of pinch across the eyebrows there. Thumb and index finger, one high, one low across the eyebrow. And then relax that out. Okay, so relax the shoulders a little bit. Let's go ahead and grab our trigger ball now that we got our head a little bit relaxed. That just helps when you've got tension going on across the head there. It feels so good. All right, so working through the ball, pressing your foot down. We'll take a few moments to work through this. As always, if there is a part of the body that you need to work into a little bit longer, go ahead and feel free to work into that body part now. You can stay there as long as you need to. Sometimes it helps just to get that part rolled out before you do the stretch. I'll say it really helps a lot to do that. And our sessions together are just short enough, it's hard to put all that in. So go with the part of the body that you need to work right now with the foam roller or the trigger ball. I like using foam roller on the calves, so you can work this from that space right above the ankle, so not onto the low part, not to the low part, that's your Achilles tendon. We don't want to press on that, but find the muscle, the meaty part of your muscle, and you can kind of roll one way and the other just to kind of feel where you've got some tension in there. And when you find that spot, you can just kind of relax, get heavy on the legs. Sometimes you need to cross one leg over the other to get more weight into it. Sometimes you need to switch from your foam roller to your trigger ball so you can get better into what you feel there to help it release and let go. You can always move the legs side to side, not just forward and back, because we're trying to release what's in the muscle there. So the adhesion is that ball, it's everything kind of clumped together. And to get it to release, we just don't want to go one way. We want to go different directions to kind of work through it. So you'll feel this if you go rolling one way, then you change directions, you're going to feel things differently. So explore a little bit with that. Don't roll right on the back side of the knee, but you can come right above it. You can go right below it. Same thing if you're using the trigger ball, right above or right below that knee, the back side. Work through it there. If you want to turn your feet and knees the same direction, that sometimes gets a little different area of the thighs. Get a little bit more on the inside of one, outside of the other, of course. Now, if you're sitting on the chair, I'm hoping you made it down to the floor to do some of this rolling. If you feel like you have a need to get into that kind of stretch position there. All right, we're going to switch, or at least I'm going to switch to my low back. So I'm going to sit on this first, and then move forward, and then working the bone that you feel in that hip area. So not going above that hip bone because that gets into that low back area, very tender vertebrae area. We don't want to work into that part. If you want to get into the upper back, so you want to work that space that's right where the shoulder blade is, so the top part and bottom part of the shoulder blade is really kind of a good way to map that out. And you can put your fingers behind your head to help support your head, or they can be at your sides, wherever it feels good for you. I just like to support my head as I roll one direction and then the other. Again, trying to get everything to kind of flatten out a little bit there. Feel it through the shoulder blades. And then you can come with the hips down, roll a little bit onto the side, and kind of roll on and off that shoulder blade area depending where your arm goes. So you can have your arm in front, you can bring it down towards your legs, you can have the hand behind the head. Just move slow when you're in this area until you find what really works best for you. You can even roll back onto your side or on your back a little bit more to feel it a little bit better. And of course, one side might feel different from the other, so work both sides and just explore each side as if it was the first time ever that you've done this, because it may have changed a little bit from the left to the right side, and from first day to now, it all changes. Okay, I'm going to flip over and work through my quads, just a little bit of that to roll through them, and then we'll start some stretching. Make sure you've got room to work through wherever you are. And again, that trigger ball, that works really well because it gets a small surface area deep into the muscle tissue. It probably doesn't work so well on the hamstrings, but pretty much every other part of the body, it will work really well. So you can work through that too. And again, if you find a spot that's tender, you just want to pause and just kind of relax down as much as you can. get heavy on that spot. Try to breathe as deep as you can, and then kind of move a little bit, all different directions, and then roll to another spot. You may not have to roll very far either. You might find something really, really quick after you roll off that one tender spot and say, oops, I found it. All right. I'm going to take about another minute to get everything rolled out at least a little bit. And take a couple more breaths. And then relax. Go ahead and come off of your foam roller or your trigger ball. Go ahead and set those off to this side. We're going to start with a little bit of a child's pose. So if you have your chair, you can turn this so that you have the seat facing you. Hands are going to be resting on top of that. Adjust it this way. All right, so your hips go back, your knees are a comfortable distance apart. You can have the top of the feet flat or toes tucked under. And just sit back so that you can let your head hang down between your arms. And if that feels good, that's where I want you to be. But if you wanted to adjust this, you might bring your hands more on the edge here. Just make sure your hands don't slide off. Or place them on the floor, set your hips back, forehead touching the floor. Any of those positions work because what we're trying to do is feel the stretch through the arms and into the front of the chest. You're going to feel this probably down the side ribs a little bit, maybe to the front side of the body a little bit. And then with your head hanging down, you're going to feel that a little bit more into the back of the neck. Try to breathe into your side ribs because anytime you're bending forward, we're compressing the lungs, and they're not going to want to expand forward very far because their belly's going to run into something. So breathe into your side ribs or even into your low back. That's a great way to train the body to breathe differently, to breathe deeper than just into your chest. Try to make your ribs move out to the sides. We'll take 2 more deep breaths. And then slowly come back up out of this. And we're going to go into a seated twist. So if you're on the floor, you can sit cross-legged and twist, or you can have one leg straight with the leg crossed over, or even beside. I'll switch the legs as I twist the other way. So the foot can be beside or across, and you can twist around that way as well. If you're sitting on the chair, I think we talked about this before. Sit kind of sideways to the chair so you have the easy access to the back side, and just use it as leverage. You're going to push your back hand out, pull your front hand in. That's going to help you get a little bit deeper into that twist. So everyone's hips should face forward whichever way you're positioned, so that when you do your little rotation with your tall spine, you feel just your ribs and your shoulders turning. And then you can turn your eye gaze to the back. You can take your chin down towards your chest a little bit. Hopefully that feels okay for your stretch there too. If not, keep your chin lifted. Always want a tall spine before you twist. And then you want to keep that tall spine in your twist. Let's take one more breath. Slowly release back to the center. We need to reset before we go the other way. So that could be your shoulders are going to roll up and back. You might do a cat back, tuck under your tailbone, rounding your spine forward, your chin coming to your chest. You can stretch your arms up, you can stretch them to the side, just wherever it feels good, so that you can kind of let your muscles relax there a little bit. So on the floor, whichever way you had your legs, switch them. I'm going to turn my chair the other direction because we're twisting the other way. All right, nice tall spine. Hips are going to stay forward for all of us, and then we're going to do that little twist. Try it again. The ribs, the shoulders turn. And then your head can turn where it's comfortable. Maybe it doesn't want to turn all the way back. That's okay. And then chin down towards your chest. And it's harder to breathe in a twist because you've got your lungs compressed because the muscles in the ribs are tightening in that rotation. And that's a good thing because now as you breathe into your lungs, you're trying to push against that which is constricting, and that's going to help stretch them. So we're actually stretching the muscles around the lungs when we twist and try to breathe deep. So this is where you want to breathe into your belly as best you can, which for most of us is pretty tough to do. Breathe into your low back. That should be easier. You could breathe into your side ribs. That might be fairly easy to do as well. We're going to stay here 3 more deep breaths. Feel your spine lengthening up as you breathe in. And on your next exhale, you're going to slowly release back to the center. Just take your time. And again, reset your body and do whatever you need to let everything kind of stretch there a little bit. So we're going to do a cross-legged stretch. So if you're in the chair, you're going to cross your ankle over the thigh, keep the foot flexed. We're going to gently press down on this leg and now lean forward to the point where you feel like you have a comfortable stretch with that. Do your best with the cross-legged. Maybe you need to take your foot out a little bit. Maybe you have a chair that allows you to put your foot next to the thigh if you can't take your leg across. Maybe it feels better to bring your legs so the thighs are crossing and then you come forward. My goal for you is to feel the hip stretch. Preferably you've got your knee out to the side, but for some it's just not going to happen. But do your best where you can feel that stretch. And if you are cross-legged here, maybe before we get finished with this side, you'll have your leg out a little bit. Now if you're on the floor, let me show you on the floor. Take one leg straight, the other leg is crossed over. Try to lay this leg down. You can lean forward in that again. If that's not going to work, try to take it to where you've got your knee a little bit over the middle of the thigh and lean forward into that. Maybe you need to have the knee up and you lean forward into that. So wherever you can go with that, maybe you need to cradle the foot into the elbow. For some, that's really intense and not right for you, but you could go with this too. Take your elbow around the thigh part and just keep your spine tall, hold this in. And you can rock a little bit side to side to feel that stretch. Again, I want that hip to stretch, and I know a lot of times we're doing this hurdler stretch, but I'm changing it up for you tonight. We're not there yet, so let's see if we can get a little stretch into this first and see how that works. Now, if you had that pillow or you had that blanket, this might be when you place it underneath that leg and you put it there. Maybe you kind of relax back into this and that feels pretty good there too. So again, there's just a lot of different variations. Sometimes you stumble onto them, and if it feels good, go with it. If it doesn't feel quite right, listen to your body, make a little bit of an adjustment and get into what does feel okay for you. And get that little stretch going. All right, so we're about to change sides. So if you're sitting on the chair, go ahead and uncross your legs. You can move your legs around. You can stand up if you need to stretch them out. And then carefully sit back down and then start with the other leg. The other leg may not want to stretch right away. It might feel a little bit of tightness, which is normal when you stretch one side for a while and then you switch sides. So if that's the case, just be gentle with it. Give it a moment so that it can relax into the stretch. For the rest of us that are on the floor, let's go ahead and take our time. Let's unwind that leg again. Move those legs around a little bit. And then when you're ready, we can take the other foot across. Always keep that foot flexed. I think you probably recited in your head everything I say about that. When you have your hip rotated, when your leg is rotated at your hip and you have your knee bent, you want to keep that foot flexed because that does protect your knee. So here we are, foot flexed. So remember your options. Maybe you like to have that blanket underneath the leg to support it there. Maybe you want to have your foot beside you and you're leaning forward. Maybe that feels really good. Maybe you've got that arm or both arms around and you're just seeing how it feels in there now. So a nice little pausing, stretching, kind of feeling what's going on inside. You can close your eyes Sometimes it helps to close your eyes and take some deep breaths and just kind of feel what's going on inside. Again, just noticing the breath whenever you think of it, to just see how's the breath flowing. Is it flowing at all? Am I holding my breath? A lot of times we hold our breath and don't realize it. And keep the breath flow. All right, let's relax. So if you're on the chair or if you're on the floor, go ahead and relax, straighten out to the legs, or do whatever kind of stretch you feel like you need to. All right, so let's change. I'm going to change here first, showing you what we're doing on the chair, and then I'll come back down onto the floor. If you have your strap, go ahead and take a hold of the strap. You don't have to have a loop in it, but it's okay if you do. So nice hamstring stretch. So you want the strap around the ball of the foot, lift your leg up, get that stretch going. If you've got a table or you have something that's of a height that works for you to lift and rest your leg on top, you can do that, and you can pull yourself forward to feel that stretch. If you're on the floor, this leg can have the knee bent, it can be out to the side, it can be straight, but we're going to work one leg on that stretch. So pull ourselves forward into that stretch. And then for everybody, when you're in that stretch, if you rotate your toe and your knee follow each other, turning in or turning out, that might feel like a pretty good stretch there as well. You can take that leg up, get a stretch that way if you feel it better that way. Again, the rotation, rotate in and out. The whole leg, it rotates from your hip. And we'll take a couple more breaths. And we'll relax that leg down. We'll switch it to the other side. And again, if you can pull the foot back so you have the strap behind the ball of the foot, start with that calf stretch, and then you can start pulling yourself forward when it feels like it releases. Again, if you're on the chair, just straighten out the leg as best as you can. You can lift your leg up as high as you wish, whether you're on the chair or on the floor. That works either place. You can try that and see how that feels. Getting into that stretch. Taking some deep breaths. Maybe rotate the knee and the toe one direction and the other. Get that work, get that stretch a-going. Take some deep breaths. And relax. Bring that leg back down. Go ahead and take that strap off. We're going to work through the hip flexors. So I'm going to start first on the floor here. Take your pillow or your blanket, whatever you have. Hopefully you have something that you can elevate your hips. So I'm going to have you lay on your back. That object's going to go underneath the hip. You're going to lay down, straighten out that leg, and just feel the front of that leg relax out a little bit there. Now if you're on the chair, I'm going to have you sit sideways on the chair. You're going to take one leg back, and the other foot's going to be forward. Make sure you keep your good balance here. I want you to feel like you've got that tailbone tucking underneath you. So it's this tuck under that you're going to feel. You're going to feel the front hip flexor stretch. You can take this arm up. You can lean away. That might help with the stretch. It just depends on your body how that works for you. Sometimes a little gentle twist away from it will help too. But it's the front of the thigh that we want to feel stretching in there right now. So get that stretch flowing in there. You can always take a breath in and relax that stretch a little bit. And then as you exhale, get a little deeper into that stretch, either by more tailbone tucking under, or more of a twist, or more of a side reach, whatever feels right for you. And if you're again on the floor, on your back, with that object underneath your hip, you're just laying there, you're just relaxing. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. And then we're going to slowly release. If you're on the chair, come back to center, bring that back leg forward. And if you're on the floor, You're going to roll to your side so you can take that object out from underneath you and just lay there for a moment on your back. Just relax, and I'll come right back to you in just a moment. So if you're on the chair, we're going to have you switch directions. I'm going to move my chair to the other side, but you can turn around if that works better for you. And the same thing, you want to make sure you're sideways, that you're on the chair secure. Take the other leg back, tuck your toes under, tailbone's tucking under. This front leg is just going to help keep you secure on that chair. And right here is your stretch. And again, the arm can come up, you can reach over, you can do a little bit of twist. It doesn't have to be a very strong twist, just a little bit, just so you can feel something happening in there. And again, nothing really strong stretch-wise, but enough that you can feel it. And then as it starts relaxing, you can get a little bit deeper and then deeper into that stretch. Now, if you're on your back, go ahead and take your object to the other side, put it underneath the other buttocks to lift it up. And then that leg can be knee bent or straight. Your opposite leg, again, can be knee bent or straight, whatever's comfortable for you. But the idea, by having the hip lifted on one side and you totally relaxing, is going to realign everything into your hips and give you a little stretch into your hip flexor, which I'm going to give you a stretch after this side here when we get finished. So those of you who are sitting on the chair stretching, you're going to have the opportunity to get on the floor and experience what the other group is doing right now. So no worries, everybody's going to get the same kind of a stretch. So find a deep breath. Kind of feel the exhale. Take the tension out of the muscles so they can continue to relax or continue to stretch wherever you are with it. And let's take one more breath. Exhale, let go. All right, so if you're on the floor, go ahead and take that object out from underneath your hip, lay on your back, just relax. I'll be right with you. And those of you who are on the chair, go ahead and release your back leg, bring it forward, and just let your body kind of reset. Again, move around however you might need to. All right, we're going to kind of switch. So if you're on the chair, go ahead and come on down to the floor. I'm going to have you get that blanket, or you can even use a yoga block, anything that's elevated like 3, 4, 5 inches or more. Probably not more than 6 inches, though. That's pretty high for anybody. But you want your hips, instead of being square or flat, you want one hip higher than the other. So go ahead and come on your back. Put that object underneath your hip so it's lifted. That leg can be knee bent or straight, and the opposite leg can be knee bent or straight as well. And then if you were on the floor, go ahead and come up to an all fours position. We're going to stretch those hip flexors. And we're going to start on all fours. So go ahead and take one foot forward. I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to go this direction so you can see. Now, if you have a chair or a table that's real sturdy that you can kind of help hold yourself on, you can. You're just going to shift your hips forward. Now, it's the back leg that gets the stretch. But again, we don't want to round the spine. We want to kind of lift the spine up and back like the people who were on the chair did. Keep your tailbone pressed down. And we call that tucking under, so you can get the front side to stretch. You can take your arm up. That might be enough extra stretch. You can lean away from that leg. If you want to do the twist, you might need to have something that will help you hold your place there so that you can twist. So wherever you want to be with this, try to uncurl your back toes. But if you need to tuck under your toes for whatever reason, like if the toes are cramping, you can do that too. But your hips are more forward. You can stay here and feel this stretch. Sometimes just leaning away from that leg is going to give you enough stretch. Sometimes you don't need to be hips forward. Sometimes you need to be more upright to feel that stretch. Sometimes it gets into different parts of the body as well, so go with it. Wherever you feel the stretch, where it feels good, that's where you want to be. You can put your hands on the floor. If you take that leg further back and get your hips lower, you could go with that as well. So if that feels good, go ahead and go with that stretch too. We're going to stay here another 3 breaths. We're going to slowly come out of this stretch. If you are on the floor, go ahead and remove that object from behind your hip and just lay perfectly flat on the floor and just let your hips settle. If you were in that upright position on all fours with that stretch, we're going to switch to the other side. Just kind of do a little check to make sure everything feels okay. Then we'll switch to the other side. And when you're on your back, if you feel okay to start your stretch on the other side, go ahead and switch your blanket to the other side. All right, so again, if you want to use that chair, you can move that chair over. So again, you're going to take that tailbone, we're going to tuck it under, we're going to keep the chest up. If we lean forward, we're not going to feel the stretch, of course. So we want to shift our hips forward, tuck under the tailbone. You can reach the arm up and over. You can add that little rotation. You can have your hips pretty much over that back knee or reach your hands down to the floor where you get your hips a little bit lower down to the floor as well to feel that stretch. With this particular stretch, you'll feel more into that hamstring as well as the hip flexor of your back leg. So it's not just going to be the hip flexor. This one will get a little bit of both the legs in different places. And then again, check in with the breathing, see how you're doing. Nice breath in and out. Try not to hold the breath. Coming back to kind of thinking, relaxing, maybe just releasing. Coming back to those higher vibration feelings is what we call them. So things that make you feel good, those are the high vibrations. And we'll slowly release out of these stretches. So if you're in this, what we call lizard pose, gently press your hips back, take your front leg back and just reset your body. If you need to stand or sit, that's fine. And then if you're on the floor, remove that object from behind your buttocks and just lay there on your back and just let everything relax there for a moment. We're going to come into a cat and a cow stretch next. So if you're on your back, when you're ready, go ahead and roll to your stomach, come up to all fours. We're going to start with hands underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. Take a breath in. As you exhale, tuck under your tailbone, chin to your chest. Full exhalation. As you inhale, release your spine to the floor. Eye gaze comes forward. You're pressing the belly down to the floor. The tailbone's coming up. Let's add on. So tuck under the tailbone, press up into cat back. Exhale, press your hands away from the knees. Really tuck under the chin. Get the back of the neck to stretch. Open your shoulder blades. Then as you inhale, we're going to release the spine to the floor. Try to pull your hands towards your knees. Open your collarbones. And again, arching into the cat back. Press your hands away, chin to chest. Feel that whole spine stretch on the back side. And then release back. Come into the cow, tailbone's tucking up, belly to the floor. Press your hands back towards your knees. Open up the collarbones. And then spine back to neutral. And a little tail wag to kind of let everything stretch out there. All right, come on down to the floor. I'm going to move my chair a little bit more out of the way here. Okay. So bring your strap with you. Let's get a little into that IT band. So put the strap around the foot. The other leg, we're going to have to take it straight. And we're going to take this leg across. Now, if your hips are on the floor, you're going to feel more stretch into the outside there. If you let the leg come all the way across, you're going to get a little more into the spinal rotation along with that hip. So if you would like that kind of stretch, you can go there. But if you want it down the leg, you might need to keep the hips a little bit more square to the floor. Or if your leg's across, pull your leg closer towards your head. That will get more into the outside of that leg. Then take your other arm across. The eyes are looking towards those fingers. Take some deep breaths. Just take one more breath. Exhale out. Bring your head back to center. Bring that knee into the chest. A little hug in. Let's go hamstring stretch. So legs straight up. You're going to pull it back. Try to keep that leg as straight as you can and pull it in with an exhale. Inhale, relax that stretch. You might even take it all the way to the floor, but definitely get it to where you don't feel a stretch anymore. And then as you exhale, hug that leg in. And then relax that leg towards the floor. Pause for a moment. And bring that leg in. Nice stretch, straight leg. And then release it down. And then one more time, hug it in. Hold it here. Now press, if your other leg is straight, press the leg down to the floor. If your knee is bent, then push into your foot. Either way, push into your foot if that knee's bent. Push into the whole leg down if your leg is straight. Keep pulling the strap to pull this leg in towards you. Feel that stretch. One more breath. And let's relax. Go ahead and take that strap off and cross that ankle over the other thigh. You're going to bend that opposite leg. Press your knee away, keeping the foot flexed. If you feel great here, stay here. If you want to bring the other thigh towards the chest, you can bring it in. You can rock a little bit side to side. You can do this little rocking motion. Or you can just hold it into the center. Some people put their hand on the outside of the shin to hug it in. The only problem with that is if it compresses the knee and you don't feel comfortable in the knee. So just watch it if you're doing that, because that does put a lot of pressure onto the knee. Let's take 3 more deep breaths. And then relax. Let's see if we can cross the thigh over the thigh. And then we're going to take the arms out to a letter T. We're going to take the knees over towards whichever leg is on top. We're going to keep going that direction. So my left leg is on top. I'm going to the right side. See if you can get your left foot to the floor. Take your body over. Your eyes go over the opposite direction. So a nice little spinal twist. Again, because we're in a twist, we want to breathe a little bit deeper into the sides and into the back. And one more breath. And then bring everything back to the center again. Just a little rock side to side. Let's bring the feet off the floor. You're going to keep the legs crossed. See if you can take a hold of either your shins to hug the knees in, or the ankles, or the feet. Now the leg closest to you is going to get the most stretch. So some people have this leg straight and you're just hugging that leg in. That's fine. But I'm trying to get you to where you can open your knees to a 90-degree angle and then kind of pull the feet straight out to the sides. The feet are not coming in towards you, but they're going more out to the sides of the shoulders in that direction. Outside of the hips, get that stretch. And then you can rock a little bit side to side. So whatever variation of this you can get into, go ahead and go with it. Let's take one more breath. Exhale out and relax. Bring the feet back to the floor and unwind your legs. Take your feet wider than your shoulders and then a little windshield wiper. You can lift one hip off the floor as you do that. That'll add a little stretch to the top of the quad, into the hip flexors, maybe into your low back, wherever that works for your body. Let everything relax. And then bring everything back to center and we'll try the other side. So let's take the strap around the other leg. And let's see, let's start with going across. So the opposite leg is straight. Leg is going to move across and we get the IT band to stretch. Some of these stretches you can kind of move in and out a little bit. So it's not a huge motion of pulsing, you could say. That's a little bit in, a little bit out. A little bit in, a little bit out. Maybe a little bit more in, a little bit more out. So that motion is slow enough that your body can start releasing that muscle that's so tight. So if that helps with your stretches, you can do that. You don't always have to go into a stretch and just hold it there. You can kind of move in and out of that stretch, which for several muscles in the body, it works really well to do that. So if your body appreciates that, go ahead and do it. But if the body would rather just stay still and feel it, that's fine too. We'll take one more breath on this stretch. And then we'll relax out of this. And now the hamstring stretch. I want this leg as straight as you can get it. The other leg, you can have the knee bent or straight. You're going to hug that stretching leg in. Relax it out to where it's totally relaxed, no stretch. And then bring it back in slowly. Again, leg as straight as you can get it. Take a breath. And relax it out. Bring it back in. Get that stretch. Again, try to keep that leg as straight as you can. And then relax it all the way to where you feel no stretch. And bring it in. This is one that we're going to hold here. So if you have your other leg straight, press into the floor. If you have your knee bent, push into the foot. When you push into your foot, you're going to feel your tailbone come up a little bit, and that adds a little bit different dimension on this stretch. So you might like that. If you didn't try it on the other side, try it on this side. Bend your knee and push into your foot and just see if that gets into a different part of that hamstring that you need to feel that stretch. Again, we're trying to keep that knee as straight as we can. 3 more deep breaths. And we're going to relax that stretch. Let's remove the strap, cross the ankle over the other thigh, keep the foot flexed. Press the knee away and just see how this feels. You can do that little rock side to side, kind of get your little stretch direction going here. And then if you wish, bring the other leg in. And again, you can rock a little bit to the left and the right and see how that feels in there. We're always trying to keep the knee pressed away. So this forearm and elbow can help with that. When you bring the leg in, you're just pressing that leg away from the shoulder. Sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes we have to have that leg crossed over when it comes in. So that's okay, but we're trying to work the leg so that the foot and ankle is more on the thigh. And again, if you're pressing on the shin, be careful how much pressure you're putting into the knee. Deepen the breath. Take one more breath. Then as you exhale, release this foot to the floor. Let's continue crossing that leg over so the thighs are crossed. And we're going to work, my right leg is crossed, so I'm going to take my foot to the left side, arms out to a T. And my eyes go off to the opposite direction. Feel that stretch. So another spinal twist. You might feel this going down the hip into the outside of the leg. Everyone feels it a little bit differently. Get that deep breath into your sides. One more deep breath. And slowly bring it all back to the center. Bring the legs back. All right, let's bring the feet up off the floor. We're going to open the knees to a 90-degree angle, or maybe more open, depends on your body. Try to hold the shins. You're going to pull the shins out to the sides of the shoulders, going this direction, not down, but out to the sides. Or you can hold the ankles or hold the feet. Again, you want to have the body pulling the feet out to the sides. And you can add that rocking if that feels okay. Again, take some deep breaths. And then slowly release out. And cross the legs, feet on the floor at least as wide as your shoulders, and then a little bit side to side. Kind of relax, let the hip come up a little bit. Give a little extra stretch there. All right, let's roll to one side and come up to seated. And stretch a little bit through the arms. So if you want to do these on the chair, feel free to get onto the chair there. I'm going to do these sitting on the floor. So if you want to sit cross-legged, if that feels good, go with that. If you want to go into more of this kind of cross-legged position where your knees are more stacked, you can do that as well. If you're here, the more stretch you're going to have is when the feet go out to the front side. Feet closer to the buttocks is going to be less intense, but you keep your feet flexed the whole time when you're doing this. All right, so arms out to the sides. Whichever leg is on top, that's the arm that's crossing on the bottom. If you're in the regular cross-legged position, then it's either arm crossing. All right, here we go. So let's bring the back of the hands together if you can. Maybe you link your fingers together. Maybe you're like this, and if you're like this, you can't get the forearms to touch, then take your hands to opposite shoulders. And then if you can take palms together, you're going to go there too. So everyone's going to lift their elbows up. Even if you have your hands on shoulders, lift your elbows up. And I want your elbows to come forward. Come towards me with your elbows so you can open up that space behind the shoulder blades. Take some deep breaths. Your option is to take the chin towards your chest. So as your chin comes down, you're going to feel the back of the neck stretch as well. Keep opening the space in the upper back. Deep breaths. One more deep breath. And then slowly release the head back up. Bring your elbows back in a little bit. And release your arms back out to the sides. And relax down. Now, if you have that strap close by, go ahead and take a hold of that. You can keep your legs the way they are. If you're sitting on a chair and you had your leg crossed, you can keep that same leg cross. We're going to do tricep stretch. So you got that strap to kind of help hold and find that hand. You want to keep the elbow up to the sky and your ear next to the arm. Your other hand, let me turn around, is pulling down on that strap. You get the stretch into that top arm. And if you like this stretch and you want to bring your body forward, you can to add to that stretch. So go with that if that feels good. We're going to stay here 3 more breaths. Keeping your spine tall. And on your next exhale, let's release the stretch. Roll your shoulders, move your arms about, and we're going to switch the legs. So if your legs are crossed, uncross them, recross the other way. If you're in this more specific kind of cross-legged position, go ahead and take your time, switch the other direction. And if you're on that chair, just cross one ankle over the thigh, or you can cross the thigh all the way across. Whatever feels good for the legs. All right, arms out to the sides. Whichever leg is on top, that's the arm going underneath. Hands to opposite shoulders. Let's see if we can get the back of the arms together the best you can. You can link the fingers, palms can come together. Keep the elbows up, everybody. Take your elbows forward, chin towards your chest. Deep breaths. Feel that space between the shoulder blades opening up and the back of the neck stretching. Three more deep breaths. And on your next exhale, bring your head back up, bring your elbows in, and release your arms out to the sides, release them down, reset the body. All right, so now the tricep stretch. All right, so here we go. Bring that strap overhead, straight arm first, and then bend the elbow. Try to get the elbow next to the ear. And again, you can stay here or you can hinge forward. It just adds a little bit of hip stretch. It might actually add to the stretch in your arm, your chest, shoulder, somewhere there as well. Again, the body is tight in different areas. And when you move certain ways, you'll feel that tightness. And you might say, why am I tight when I move this way? That makes no sense. It's just the way your body is. So where you feel the tightness, that's where you go. So you can help it relax. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. And then gently release out of this stretch. I'm going to do one more stretch to open the arms back behind us. So you can sit however you wish. Your legs can be crossed or uncrossed. And with the strap out to the sides here. And just up and reach back. So if you've got a longer strap, that might feel better. You can also bend your elbows back. You can go straight arms or maybe one arm straight, one arm bent. Different ways. I just want your arms going behind your shoulders if at all possible. So you can stretch back through the shoulder. Again, just nice and easy motion so you can kind of feel what's happening in there as you move. Take another breath. Exhale out and release. All right. So we're going to go into our Shavasana. You're welcome to stay seated in the chair if you wish, or sit on the floor. You can lay on your back or your side as well. And we're going to come back to our breath just like we started. So let's kind of feel how the breath is flowing through the body. So we're not making ourselves breathe in or out. We're just noticing the breath. Notice if it feels a little bit longer inhale, a little bit longer exhale. See if you can relax down your right shoulder from your ear just a little bit more. And relax down the left shoulder a little bit more. Release the gripping that's in your hips. And then soften your eyes, relaxing your jaw. As you breathe in, just feel the open space inside. See if you can feel everything flowing, maybe some tingling, maybe some heat. Good energy flow through the body. If you wish to stay here longer, please feel free to do so. When you're ready to come out of your Shavasana, just gently begin to move your body, maybe wiggling fingertips, your toes, your arms, your legs. Moving shoulders, hips, taking a deeper breath in and out. Maybe a full body stretch or just reaching the arms overhead. And if you're on your back, you'll gently roll to your side. And then when you're ready, slowly press yourself up to a comfortable seated position with your eyes closed or open. Hands at your sides. Let's inhale, open the eyes, lift the arms overhead, palms together to the heart, breathe out. And again, hands to the sides, lifting, gathering energy, life, and goodness. And as we exhale, bringing all these good things to our hearts. And that's our class. Namaste. Thanks for joining me. Happy holidays. I'll see you soon.